Welcome to another episode of I'm Not a Mechanic. This is Driveway Garage, and let me show you what I have going today. I recently bought this 2003 Toyota Tundra, and I really didn't inspect it good enough because I like Tundras, Toyotas, Lexuses. Anyway, I replaced the sway bar links. They were both broke. And it's from Moog, M-O-O-G. It's a little different because it doesn't really get tight up here and squish these. This bolt bottoms out, but it's in there. It's better than the other one. Just got rusty and broke off right here, snapped off. So today, because while I was under here looking, I saw this Bellows on the power steering was shredded. And then I got to thinking about it. The 2004 that I had was the same way. I had to replace it too. And I had to replace this sway bar link. But this one I had to replace both of them because they were both broken. Now I was going to try to do this without taking this nut off, but I think as tight as this fit is, I'm going to have to take the nut off and lube it up so I can slide it on there without damaging the bellows. Because this one's kind of small. Let me show you the one I got. It's another Moog. I used this on my other one. The trouble I had was getting this end, which is up toward the frame, staying on there. I don't know if you just need a better clamp, because they come with the metal clamp, but I don't have a way to do that. So they give you a zip tie. So I'm going to try it with a zip tie. Of course, you have to jack it up. Now I put a jack stand right under where the step used to be. Nice and sturdy, so it won't fall down on me. Of course, take your wheel off. Now, this tie rod end screws onto there, and I measured it. It's an inch. I'm gonna have to measure it again because my memory sucks. I get distracted. It's an inch and a quarter. So when I put the nut back on, I'll make sure I get it about there, and I'll probably have to do an alignment, which you probably could use anyway. So, you get your wheel off, and this tie rod end screws onto there, and then it comes up through this hole right here, and it's got a nut on it. And in that nut is a cotter key that looks like that. That's not the one that came out. The one that came out, I could not get it out because this was laying down in those grooves like that. I couldn't get a hold of it. I tried pounding on it, it just bent it. So finally I just snapped it off with a pair of pliers, and then it was sitting in there about like that. So then I took my 19-inch socket and this extension, it's a 1/2 inch, and I just took a hammer and I pounded it onto the nut, and I just got it on there a little bit, pounded her down with the hammer. This metal's pretty soft. I got it on there, and then I had to get a breaker bar and a jack handle to get enough leverage. So I put the jack handle on top of the breaker bar so I can get more leverage because I could not get it to budge. And then after I moved it, I don't know, 1 or 2 revolutions maybe, I went ahead and fired up my air compressor and got out the earthquake, and that had enough zap to go ahead and take it out. So I got it out of there. Then I beat on the side of the tie rod end with a hammer, not that, but I beat on this piece of metal here with a hammer, and then finally that popped loose. The last time I did this, I made the mistake of putting the nut on here and pounding on this, thinking that would loosen it, and all it did was ruin the tie rod end. So I learned from that lesson. So I got the tie rod off. I'm going to get a long socket. I'm going to back that off of there. I'm sure I'll have to put a wrench on here to hold it, because otherwise it's just going to spin. And then I can get underneath there and get some pliers and take that metal strap off. Then I'll slide on the new boot and try the zip tie. Hopefully there's a lip in there that it can grab and hold that baby on there, because the last one I went to have something done, tires or an alignment, and that boot had just fallen off up there, so then it's not doing any good. It's supposed to keep the dust out of that U-joint there, but it doesn't do that when it has holes in it and it's not connected. So let me get some needle nose pliers, get this off. First I'll back this nut off of here. I'll get that boot off and then we'll see what we're looking at. Okay, so that nut on there is a 24 millimeter. And I bought these long impact sockets. There's a set of them. Came from Harbor Freight, I guess. I forgot I had them. They were laying in there with some other tools. I found them the other day. So I've used them a few times since I found them. In this case, it's going to be real handy because I can take that off without using, well, you know, an open-end wrench or something and doing it by hand. So let me get that off of there. Well, I guess it's not a U-joint, it's a ball joint. That's what the dust cover is supposed to be protecting. Getting a bunch of crap in there and ruining that, and you'll have to replace that, which I'm sure it's probably replaceable. I could not get this nut to move. I put an 18 millimeter wrench here, and it wouldn't hold it. I thought about getting out a pipe wrench, but finally I just decided I'm going to try to do it without taking the nut off. Now, to get this bottom clamp off, I use needle nose pliers, and it just goes big enough. If you squeeze it all the way, it'll slip over the top of that nut. Barely, but it does it. And then I took my little pick. It's got a little point on it. And I just, where's that thing at? You can see it was just broken in half. So I just split that down the middle and got this to slide off. And then I broke this loose where the clamp was. And to get that clamp off, there's the clamp. I took the bigger pick, I put it down inside this hole right here and pried on a little bit, and it just snapped and came off. So now that's off, the boot's off. I'm gonna lube up this boot, the new one, and hopefully I can get it to slide over that nut. I'm gonna put some lubrication on the inside of that hole, and I'll put some on there, and maybe I can get this to slide on there. And basically this just slides up back on that shaft there. My camera will focus. And then it's held in place by that clamp. Now I'm just hoping that this new one is about the same length as the old one, so it seems like it's a good fit. Just a matter of getting it to stay on there. Now if I have to, I can get some kind of a pipe clamp that you can tighten down with a nut wrench or a screwdriver or something and tighten it down more. In fact, if this tie down doesn't hold it, zip tie, that's what I'm going to do. So let me get this thing lubed up and see if I can get it slipped on there. Ew, I'm getting crap on my phone. You can't see it, but there's a big glob of grease on the screen. Well, I got it on there. It wasn't too bad. Once I got up to this smaller part here, I tried to use the pick, but I was afraid I was going to poke a hole in it. So I just, with the lubrication, I just started pushing on it, and it went through the hole, slipped over. A little extra effort went past the nut. It's up there where it belongs. Let me get the zip tie on there. Then I can put this baby back together. This might have moved a little bit, so I'm going to have to double check my measurement. It's supposed to be 1.25 inches. I want to make sure that I don't mess up the alignment too bad. And it's still at 1.25 inches, so it really didn't move. I moved it just enough to break it loose to get the tie rod end off. But after that, it just didn't want to go anywhere, which is fine with me. I got it done. So I'll start putting this back together. I'll get the zip tie on there, this other clamp on here. I'll screw my tie rod end back on, get it in the hole, tighten everything up. Now this cotter pin, I just got lucky. I found it in my toolbox with my wrenches. It was just laying in there, and hopefully it's the right size. It'll replace the one I had to break off. Otherwise I'll put a piece of wire in there or something until I can get another cotter pin. I'll show you what it looks like when they get it back together. Well, I ended up taking it back off because I saw a little piece of metal from the old cotter pin laying there, and I thought the whole thing just fell out, but it didn't. So I had to take this off and drill the hole out so I can get this cotter pin in, and I checked it, it'll slip in there. So I'll put it back together and get that cotter pin in there and get it bent over, and we'll be about done. Okay, she's all back together. Clamps are on. I kind of got the cotter pin in there. At least that nut's not gonna fall out. I tightened that joint back up there, so it should be just almost exactly where it was when I took it off. So hopefully it's not out of alignment. I can check that with a string if I want to. With the mile, it's got 200,000 miles on the truck. Maybe I'll just have a front end alignment done for the heck of it. We'll see. One of my next projects is going to be to redo these brakes because they're probably original. Up here, the shoes are getting a little thin, especially on the outer part. It's about 1/8 of an inch tread left, so I'm going to do that project one of these days. For now, I'm going to get my tools put away, get the wheel back on, and that'll be it for this project. Now, I took this plastic cover off, which involves 3 10mm bolts under there and 3 along the wheel well. I got that out of there. I was going to replace the sensor for the windshield wiper fluid because it always says it's low, but the one I got from Amazon said it would fit, and it doesn't. So I'm going to probably have to get one from the dealer. I'll do some more searching. I have a better idea what it looks like now. Save that for another day. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps somebody out. You know, if you do it yourself like I do. I might not make any money today, but I'm sure I saved myself $200 or $300 for having somebody else do it. Thanks for watching, and have a great one.